Relationships matter more than price. I know there's a lot of folks in this room and a lot of folks that I talk to in residential construction that are vendors that have this notion that they can't break in because the builder wants the lowest price. And I will tell you that while there are certain builders that do have that mindset, there are national builders, I won't mention any names, that if you check 3 boxes, license, insurance, and the lowest price, you got the job. Personally, I gravitated to other builders. I didn't want that work. We'll talk about why. I wanted the builders that wanted a value subcontractor that appreciated what we did for them, right? We'll talk more about that. We'll talk about how trust is actually built in our industry. It's hard to build a relationship with someone when they don't trust you. Does that make sense? Right? By the way, we're not here to talk about features and benefits sales or, being somebody's buddy. I'm going to talk to you about how to position your business. We're going to talk about the behaviors that create loyalty from the builder to you and how that translates to margin. And we'll talk about how relationships, translate to revenue. Everything that I have practiced in this industry and everything that I have always taught centers around this notion. What can I do to reduce the builder's perceived risk in hiring me? That's what it's all about. Now, I saw in a sales book, I used to read tons of sales books when I was young, which was a very long time ago. But I used to read a lot of sales books. And there was a great sales book, I still remember it, Question-Based Selling by Thomas Fries. And he positions it to the reader as a scale, as a balance, okay? And it says, as the customer's perception of risk in hiring you elevates, there's a commensurate reduction in likelihood you're going to get hired. Does that make sense? Why would anybody hire someone if they think it's risky? So everything that we're going to talk about today kind of centers around that one concept, reducing the builder's perception of risk in giving you the job. How do we eliminate? How do we assuage that risk? Everything you do, everything you communicate, everything you convey, psychologically is to reduce their perceived risk in hiring you. As that risk goes down, your chance of being hired goes up. So, in case you're wondering, yeah, I've actually lived this. I've done this, okay? I first got into the trades in the mid-90s, a couple of years after Hurricane Andrew in '92 in South Florida. Got into the hurricane shutter trade. We were a manufacturer and a subcontractor. I did not come up through academia. That is not who I am. I see a lot of folks that are construction industry speakers and consultants, and they tout their business schools and MBAs. That's not me. I did this. Everything I'm going to share with you today and throughout this series, I've lived, I've practiced it, I've done it, and had wild, wild success. So again, I came up in the trades, in the field. I've been to thousands of meetings in front of lot 12 where the construction super is talking to you about, don't park on my finished driveway. My countertops are not your workbench. And gosh darn it, stop smoking in my drywalled homes, right? I've done this, lived it. Everything I teach, I learned the hard way, and sometimes it was really darn painful, really painful. What I'm trying to do with this series and for you today is compress some of that learning curve, shorten your path to success. Everything we're going to talk about is real world. It's not theory. This is day-to-day, living your life in our industry. How do you position yourself? Everything I did was to position my company as the definitive go-to vendor in that trade, in that market. I wanted to leave no doubt. It's me. In a sense, I wanted to make it a no-brainer for the builder to hire me. I wanted to make it easy for them. I didn't want them to have to consternation or wringing their hands. Do I want to hire Don? No, I wanted to make it a no-brainer. And we're going to talk about how to position your company to do that. A little bit about my background. Personally, I've written over 300 million in contracts in my career, not my teams, me personally. I know what home builders want from their vendors. My companies have worked for about 300, actually closer to 400, but I just say 300 different home builders in my career. On-your-lot builders, custom builders, national production builders, local production builders, multifamily, apartments, I've done it all. I've done it all, and I've worked for, at different times in my career, 40 or 50 of the NAHB top 100. I know what builders want from their subcontractors. I've been in this industry. I've been a manufacturer, hurricane storm protection after Hurricane Andrew. I've been a dealer. I was a window and door dealer for many years. Excuse me. Excuse me. I've been a distributor. I've been a GC. And I've almost always been a subcontractor in new residential construction. That was my niche. I held state GC licenses in Florida and North Carolina, not county certificates, state licenses. I've got the background. So why does all this matter to you? Quite simply, I've made all the mistakes I'm going to warn you about. I'm trying to save you the heartache and the hit to your wallet. I've paid with lessons with real money. Everything we're going to talk about is stuff that I wish somebody taught me 30 years ago. It would have really, cut down on me banging my head into the wall. And everything, folks, if you're not a note taker, my book just came out and it's available on Amazon. Everything we're going to talk about today and in this series, you'll find in the book. Everything. So let's talk about some foundational truths in our industry. There are 2 or 3 core axioms that I lived by and breathed every moment of every day. And that first bullet needs to be at the forefront of all of your thoughts. This industry is not about your drywall. It ain't special. This industry is not about your lumber. It ain't special. I was a window and door dealer. My window wasn't special. People do business with people they like. Skill alone will not win you work in our industry. If you're the best carpenter there is, if you run a lousy business or you're difficult to work with, you're not going to get rehired. People spend too much time in our industry thinking about features and benefits of their product. I've never seen a builder select a drywall guy because his sheetrock was any better than anybody else's.